You have now tuned into Insight Sundays, the show that brings you relevant news, youth and political topics with a new direction and focus for our communities. Log in with Facebook and get connected. Here's your host, Adrian Mickens.
What's going on, Indianapolis? And welcome to another edition of Insight Sundays right here on AM 1310 The Light and Facebook Live. As always, we have to give a shout out to all of our sponsors, which are Andrew J. Brown Academy, Indiana Christian Leadership Conference, or ICLC, Raymond and Haley Attorneys at Law, Buttons and Bows Hair Salon, Bethesda Temple Southeast Campus, New Vision Lighthouse Ministries, Hair Artistry Indie, Inner Beauty Program Incorporated, New Breed of Youth, George Buck Elementary School, First Achieve the Challenges for Excellence, Lighthouse Academy Charter School South and East Campus, Beach Grove Bible Church, and Sam Ash Music Store. As always, Indianapolis, you can stay connected with us on all of your social media platforms, which is Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, all at the title name of @Insight Sundays, as well as you can download the mobile app on the App Store and Google Play Store, whether it's Insight Sundays or AM 1310 The Light. All right, Indianapolis, one more announcement before we get into our show for today. WHMB 40. I hope you guys got an opportunity to watch Insight Sundays on the very first broadcast last Sunday at 5 p.m. Our next broadcast on WHMB TV 40 will be November the 18th, and we'll be hosting the Male Mentor and Young Women's Empowerment Conference that was held at Warren Central High School. That will air next Sunday at 5 o'clock on WHMB TV 40 Insight Sundays. All right, Indianapolis, with that being said, as always, we have another spectacular show for you guys today. In studio, I have a great friend of mine. I want to be a little biased. Her name is Kimberly Janelle, and we also have her friend, Mrs. Ashley Thomas, is in the house too today as well. Now I'm going to swing back here to Miss Kimberly. I've known her probably maybe five or 4 years, give or take, maybe 6. She's been doing a lot of work with the schools, charter schools, and I know that she's doing different things now too as well, which is what we're going to get into. So first and foremost, Kim, what made you want to get into the educational field in the first place?
Wow. I've always had a love for kids, and realized that I was really good at math. Got an accounting degree, and accounting wasn't working. Okay. And so I just trying to figure out how I could put it together, and ended up substituting and fell in love and got stuck.
Gotcha. Now, in this question here, you don't have to say all the way, but the reason why accounting didn't work, was it because your heart was not there?
Absolutely.
And you felt like you needed to do more with what you had?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. The numbers, it made sense because I was good with numbers. So my dad was like, well, you should do accounting. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Got the degree, and it just wasn't, that wasn't it.
Yeah.
That just wasn't it.
Yeah. Sometimes your heart just wants you to do more. So speaking about more, Indianapolis, the reason why we have her in studio today is because Miss Kimberly has her own institute now. It's called KJI Institute.
Yes.
So let's kind of dig into that a little bit. First and foremost, let's start. Where did the idea even come into mind?
I've had the idea for probably at least 10 years. It just started as a dream. I'm a 70s baby, grew up in the 80s, so I watched Fame. I don't know if that's kind of aging myself.
Well,
but
I think he just passed away this year, the guy who used to do that, the Rich and Famous. Yeah, he did pass away this year. No, not that show. It was another show.
Not that show.
Okay.
So it was Debbie Allen. It was a performing arts school. I think it was based out of New York. I think is where
I do know Debbie Allen. I don't know the show. I was born in 87,
it's
so
cool.
You got me.
It was cool.
Late 80s baby.
But it was a performing arts school. And all the instructors were black. A lot of the instructors were black. And these beautiful brown people were dancing and performing in ways that I had never seen before. And so that kind of sparked the idea for me. But I've always been a creative. I grew up with a dad who has been a musician ever since I can remember. And singing and performing has always been a part of our life in our family. But I kind of went through a midlife crisis, so I'm not quite old enough for the midlife crisis, but midway.
Okay,
you know?
I see that segue. Yeah.
Trying to figure out like what was missing. Like I knew I loved kids. I was good with math. The education thing was really good, but it was just something that was missing. So in the midst of having a conversation with my dad, by this time I was modeling, had done some commercials and stuff, and my dad was like, you really should just jump into this creative thing, like full-fledged, just do it. And he said, I have somebody that I want you to meet. So he took me to Asante Children's Theater and introduced me to the amazing Deborah Asante.
Okay.
And so I'm all excited. I'm like, I just want to be here. I want to work. And she's like, okay, well, I want you to volunteer for like 3 months. And I'm like, okay, cool. 15, 20 hours a week, I'm volunteering, getting ready for the next production. And it was during that time that I realized where my passion with the kids lied. Because in the classroom, I love being in the classroom, but I like talking about life and things that made them light up. And we couldn't do that when we were supposed to be talking about math, right? I'm supposed to be teaching math, and we talking about dancing and singing and performing and challenges that they were having. And so it was there during my time at Asante that I realized that I loved the training portion of the arts. I love seeing kids come in with the hunger, having an interest in dancing and then getting better, or singing, acting, that sort of thing. All right. So from that build up, let's get to the root meat of what the Institute is about. What is it that you teach, train? What is it that you do with the Institute that people will walk away from? Good question. So the training portion, I have lofty dreams, and I am ridiculously ambitious and probably a little bit of an overachiever. So ultimately, I want this to be something that Indianapolis has never seen. But the kids come into the Institute with the desire to learn. They love to dance. They love to sing. I have kids that want to model, and they have no idea where to start or what it looks like, if I'm too short, if I'm too tall. Do I meet the standard? And just being able to talk to them, everything that we do starts with mindset. So modeling and mindset, monologues and mindset. Like, we have to get into the heads of these kids to let them understand that they can do anything. You can do anything you want to do. You can do anything that you want to do. And so we're teaching monologues. We're teaching vocal instruction. We're teaching dance. We're teaching runway, how to work a camera, but ultimately we're teaching them how to love themselves wherever you are. Love who you are and what God gave you, and we can go from there.
And when you spoke about some of your credentials and modeling and different things like that, I know firsthand. I was invited to a camper party at the casino out in Shelbyville maybe a couple months back. And they were running your commercial. So I've seen you in other commercials. It was was it one for a bank or a hospital or something like that? It was one of the
Community health.
Yeah, community health. I've seen you in that one. So you're teaching them. For anybody who's listening right now, we're going to give out the information here shortly. I never have anybody on the show who's never done it themselves before. I want to let everybody know that she's actually done the work. She knows how to submit, put bios together properly, get it in the hands of the right people instead of you giving it to a person you know is not going to do anything, saving you time from fake consultants who's just going to waste your time and charge you for it. We'll get into a lot more of that here in just a second. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're also going to talk to our other guest in the house today, Mrs. Ashley Thomas, because I've seen something on Facebook that really struck me. These ladies, I don't even want to say it right now. I'm just going to keep you guys waiting on the edge of your seats. Just come back because we got something really good to talk about for our men in the city. So we'll be right back from the commercial break. Welcome back, Indianapolis, to Insight Sundays right here on AM 1310 The Light and Facebook Live. As always, make sure that you stay connected with us on all of our social media platforms, which is Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, all at the title name of @Insight Sundays, as well as you can download the Insight Sundays mobile app on the App Store and Google Play Store, as well as the AM 1310 The Light app on the App Store and Google Play Store. Make sure that you tune in next Sunday. Again, that's next Sunday on November the 18th on WHMB TV 40 at 5 p.m. We'll be broadcasting the Male Mentoring Conference and the Young Women's Empowerment Conference that was held at Warren Central High School. In studio today, we have Miss Kimberly and Miss Ashley, who is representing KJI Institute. This is a place where you can go if you are talented in singing, dancing, anything with theater and arts, pretty much. You can come to this institute and get some good takeaways and actually get a good start in the door at some of these places you may have been trying to get into. So right before we segue into some the last ending questions about how everybody can contact you, where the facility is, because I know you just made a partnership with a brand new facility. I want to swing it around here. That's why we had you guys wait on break there to Mrs. Ashley Thomas, who's in the house today. Last week, I think it was last week. What day was that? Was it?
Yes, so that's November 3rd.
November 3rd. Okay. So the ladies were out. I think it was the corner section of, was it 38th
and Meridian?
38th and Meridian. Yeah. Basically, they were out there not calling out in a negative way. They were calling out the black men in our city, and to be honest, all around the country, if you ask me. But definitely calling out the black men in our city, saying we are here for you. It was something that I've never seen it in that way before. Mm-hmm. I mean, you would think like, oh, they was probably just out there looking for a man. You know how people are. Like, no, they were saying, listen, we are standing up for our black men. Right. We want to see you guys prosper. We want to see you guys thrive. I mean, heck, I'm married, and I was like, wow, that even touched me. I'm like, man, I'm glad I found my black woman. But nevertheless, can you explain to me why that came across your heart to do that?
So that came about myself and my stepmom, Felicia Thomas. We actually were sitting down and just brainstorming on like what could we do more of. And she said, you know, I always wanted to do something where we could, as black women, empower our black men. And I said, okay, so let's like start talking about what that looks like. Yeah. It almost didn't happen on Saturday, November 3rd, because, you know, when you have an unorganized movement, you want it to be as organized. You want every T to be crossed and every I to be dotted. But we were just like, no, this is necessary. And so we started meeting with women, just anybody from our Facebook pages, family, friends, just bringing them together and sitting down and having meetings. And the amazing thing is when it began, we just sat there and said, okay, tell me something. Let's write down something positive, a positive experience that each of us have had with a black man. And let's write down something that's not such a positive experience with a black man. And it was amazing because we all could come up with at least one, two, or more on both of those things. But we realized that we were going to have to address those traumas before we start going out there talking about healing other black men. Because we realized that the black woman needs healing too. Hello. And we're deserving of that. Okay. So that was how we began. We had a couple of meetings. They were very small groups. So we were like, wow, are the women going to come out? Like, can we make this happen? We second guessed a lot of things, but we named it the We Need You movement because we did not want to be out there talking to our black men saying that we knew everything that they needed. We asked and consulted with black men to ask, like, what do you need? How should we deliver it? Because they should be consulting us on what we should be doing for the black man.
That's right.
Okay.
Come on now.
Well, see, here's why I want to ask this question too, because you made a comment on when you were addressing on Facebook Live, and I mean, it's nothing bad. I love the comment. You stated that we started this movement. We started whatever it was specifically with the name and title. I'm sorry, I just forgot that fast. But you stated that when the men come on board, you guys will be on the board, the head board of this movement. And I say that because, you know, we live in a time now where empowerment is everywhere. You know, we got a congresswoman in Massachusetts, black, African American. We had, I think it was 19 judges. Turn all the seats, I think, was in Texas.
Right.
So, I mean, you know, the black women's movement is moving. I mean, do you think that, not necessarily, well, males in general, but I know we're specifically talking about African American males, do you think that they feel outcast or not a part of anymore? Like, how do you think, or what is your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't feel like, I don't know. I don't know if they feel outcasted. I believe that a lot of black men that I know are really excited about the black woman stepping up because they realize that we are some very strong and fierce leaders. And for too long, sometimes black women, we've sat back and haven't realized that we can lead from the front, the middle, or the back. Like, we have the ability as well, and we have those gifts. And we are the healers of our community as well, to realize that it begins with us. We are the womb man. So, all earth, all nature, all everything comes through us. So we have to realize that we have this gift that's here. And our men, we need them. We need them. There is a place. I don't care what anybody says. There is a place for our men. And for us to be able to say, like, how do we empower and uplift them? I think for a very long time, us black women have felt left out of those spaces. So we hear about 19 judges, and we hear about all these black women in leadership roles and things. But the reason why it's so exciting right now is because it's not happened as often in the past. And so we have been traditionally, historically, the folks who have been left out. We've kind of been like out there like, hey, we've been leading campaigns, but from the backside of it, but realizing that we can be in the forefront of it.
Got you. Just staying on topic what we're talking about, but I want to bring it back just a hair politically, not too much, but I want to speak about the Obamas. And when he became president for the first time in 2008 and got inaugurated in 2009, and what we're experiencing now with everybody having a sure bet opportunity. Before, you could fill out all the forms downtown, whatever state you live in, at the city county building, and they would get passed over or looked over, or you haven't been a part of the party for this X amount of years. But now the minorities are actually being able to legitimately be a part of the mix. Even in Florida and Georgia alone, there are 2 recounts going on, one for Gilliam and one for Stacey in Georgia too as well. So I'm saying that to say that we now live in a time where everybody has a fair share opportunity. And I'm bringing that to the table because I want to know from your perspective, or maybe even your perspective, why is it that the African-American women feel deserted from their black men?
That's a big question. So I will like to say this. Us seeing all of these beautiful movements happening with black women still doesn't mean that there's equity across the board. So I do want to say that because equity means that we are always on level playing field, and that we have what we need in order to be successful just as much as anyone else, whether or not that's a black man or a white woman, have everything that they need. So I do want to say that there's still not always equity across the board and on any level when it comes to black women. So, however, feeling deserted sometimes are just from those traumas that a lot of black women have experienced to the black man. That could be father, uncle, cousin, black man up the street, pastor, preacher, whatever those traumas are. That they've experienced to the black man, or that their mom might have experienced to the black man, now have taught them that this is what is really happening. We have to acknowledge those traumas. Those traumas are what set our community back, and sometimes put us in a mindset of we've been deserted by our black men. Do I feel like we've been deserted by our black men? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. However, I have to go back and not weigh in on black men as a whole just from bad experiences that I may have had, or that a family member may have had due to a black man. That's going to happen in any community. A lot of times, if I have quicker access to a black man than I do a white man because I'm a black woman, then there's a higher chance for a black man to do something wrong or do something great to me. That those experiences. And so paying attention to those and knowing that we have to address the traumas, that's one of the reasons why we had to address that. And we have to acknowledge those things in order, like fathers deserting their base. That doesn't happen in every single family, but you get one person where it happens to them, and then it's like this generational thing that has happened. And then now you have the mindset of men desert families, black men desert, and that's not always the case.
I'm glad you said that. Even for me, myself, I was raised in a 2-parent household, but my mother was a strong woman. And so naturally, I married a strong wife. So I don't see it anything as belittling me, like literally, like, or not. When I met my wife, she had dreams. She had aspirations. She's in the hair and beauty industry. And I made sure that everything in my might, my power, that she could be as successful as she wanted to be. Like, I mean, it's life. Why would you not want somebody else to be successful? Why would you want somebody to have that subservient mentality?
Yeah.
I would love to address this for much longer, and everybody's been telling me you need to have an hour show, and I do. That's why I kind of segue to WHMB. But I want to make sure that we get out all the information again about the KJI Institute, where they can find you at, where they can find the building at, all that good information.
Wonderful. So KJI Institute operates out of Brookside Community Center right now, which is at 3500 Brookside Parkway North.
Okay.
You can find us on social media, KJI Institute on Facebook and Instagram, and also by email, kjiinstitute@gmail.com.
All right. And again, that's KJI Institute. Once again, we appreciate everybody for tuning in to another edition of Insight Sundays right here on AM 1310 The Light. Make sure that you tune in next Sunday as we will be broadcasting the Male Mentoring Conference and the Young Women's Empowerment Conference. We'll actually have some of the guests and MCs that was there that day here on AM 1310. And then we will be airing the broadcast on WHMB TV 40 promptly at 5 o'clock. Make sure that you stay connected with us on all of our social media platforms, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat, all at the title name of @Insight Sundays, and we will check you guys out next week.
This is a Soul Hit production.